Welcome everyone to a lovely what I'm going to call this first spring edition of the final whistle here after an insane weekend of insane sports. Football is on its way back. I am Mark. That is Kyle. Kyle, how are we doing this sunny Ohio? What at the time is a Monday morning here in the final whistle.
Mark, it's a great day. Sun is shining for right now. We're supposed to get some more rain this week, but we're in a good mood. There's a lot to talk about. We're squeezing as much as we can, but it is a very exciting day. We got some big news and maybe some making fun of to happen here in a couple minutes. But I'm doing good, Mark. How are you? Did you have a good and a fun weekend with the fam and kind of just relaxing?
Oh yeah, of course. And as we kind of get ready for this next weekend to come, as we're going to touch on it today, definitely nice to kind of relax and do some things. Watch the NFL Combine as that went on from Friday to Sunday, and kind of catch some additional sports, catch some basketball and things like that. March Madness is right around the corner.
Yep.
Sports are at an all time high right now, Kyle.
We are excited because we got to cherish these moments. Because once we get to summer, we know it kind of takes a little bit of a hit. It kind of gets a little boring, but we're still gonna push through it and get ready. And this is episode number 31. So before we really dive into what we need to talk about today, we just want to thank Christian for last week. As me and Mark, that was probably one of our probably best shows we ever did since starting the 30 we've done so far, this being 31. So Christian, we cannot wait to have him back on, hopefully for the playoffs in October if the schedules align and all that. So we'll work on that with him. But we want to thank him enough for coming on and being a great guest and
Yeah, 100%.
being able to do that with us. We're excited to have him back. Also, we want to remind you is at the beginning, March 25th, Wednesday, we are going to do our next live YouTube show. It's going to be at 7 p.m. We will continue to announce that as we get closer. So 7 p.m., March 25th, me and Mark are excited to chat with you all. And hopefully we'll have a busy week or news week like we have today. So don't forget, March 25th, 7 p.m., live on YouTube. We are very, very excited for that. All right, Mark. Well, we had a show planned. As we always say, some news breaks, we have to kind of pivot, and that's what we are going to do because as of this recording on Monday, we do have breaking news from your Cleveland Browns. The Texans and the Browns, per Ian Rappaport, I'm just reading the tweet he sent, have agreed to terms on a trade to sending a starting right tackle Titus Howard to Cleveland in exchange for a fifth-round pick. It's much needed help for the Browns. Plus, Howard gets a new 3-year, $63 million extension in a deal. So the Browns revamp their line. The first domino's falling on the line, Mark, and the Browns get a veteran that's going to help the youngsters and get some but experience on that line come week one of the NFL season.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of already talked about it as the news broke. I think the big thing here is you're already seeing a sense of urgency from the Browns and from their front office. You have a new regime in place who periodically had obviously one of the best lines, if not the best line in football in their tenure at the Baltimore Ravens. You have a brand new coach from the Ravens that handled their offensive line. So you kind of see now you get a starting right tackle for a fifth-round pick. You can't really beat that. Obviously, we paid him the extension, the money to keep him around, et cetera, which I know was probably part of that deal as well to get him here. But very, very important, as we already know, the Browns' offensive line took a bit of a hit this year, not only during the season just being as bad as they were, but now in the offseason we basically return nobody from that starting line, and the people that we are returning from any playing time are injured or need re-signing anyways, so it's a big domino to kind of replace there. And I think it also shows, again, Kyle, I mentioned it to you earlier this morning, kind of where the Browns are at and maybe what their draft process is looking like after the Combine. Maybe we're going to go skill position here, and we're looking for veteran O-line to kind of help out. Obviously, we still hope that we get some O-line help in the draft, and I'm sure we will, as the Browns are notorious for doing so kind of regardless. But I think it's a good move by the Browns. You get a starting right tackle. You kind of shore up some things. I'm sure my suggestion or my assumption is that Postic will be back and re-signed, all things considered, is what I would assume, being that he has rapport with both quarterbacks and things like that, but we'll see what happens there. And now your young guys that you want to bring back from injury kind of become depth pieces, hopefully, as the offseason wears on. But I think this is a great move by not only Browns for the value in what they got versus what they gave up, and moving forward.
Yeah, and this was a great acquisition. As we know, the fifth round pick was kind of being floated around. The Browns kind of were trading fifth round picks. They traded one to the Eagles to take DTR off our hands. Then they got one back in a Kenny Pickett trade. So they basically got this running or offensive lineman for nothing. So it's a great.
Yep.
And the thing it's going to be, as Mark mentioned, the healthiness. The healthiness of our players, of our O line. We know the O line stunk because everybody was hurt and just couldn't play. And we talked about a guy like Dwan Jones, who's from Ohio State, but as I mentioned, we talked about. He's going to need to cut down some pounds, I think. I think he's too slow for the NFL standards. When he played, I wasn't a big fan of him. When he played, I didn't like the way he was playing. I think he was a little too big and needed to add some pounds. But I think I like it. It's a veteran presence in the locker room. He's going to help the guys. And Mark, we talked about with this new coach. He's bringing the offensive line coach from Baltimore, so that's going to help too because you've seen the kind of Baltimore lines they've had when they were over there when the faction was together. So this is very interesting because for one, the draft. What do we now? I would not be surprised if we still go offensive lineman in the draft. Maybe we do the first two. I still think that first round pick is going to get dangled with some teams for maybe a wide receiver.
I agree.
Or wide receiver or moving up in the draft. So that's still main to see as next week starts the tampering period. So we're going to know a lot about what their thoughts are in free agency starting next Monday. So there's a lot to be desired here, especially when we got still a month and change before the draft. So I think we're going to know where we're going with this, Mark, especially at the O-line. I wouldn't be surprised if we sign another O-line. We're going to have to because we're like
nobody. We brought nobody back from that starting O line.
No.
There was retirements. There were people that Teller already said he wasn't coming back. Posic's deal is up. He needs either re-signed or let go. And I believe Conklin is also up as well. So I mean, it was already reported in the beginning of this offseason. We literally are bringing nobody back from that starting O line that we started with at the beginning of the year. That a couple of years ago, Kyle, was one of the best O lines in all the NFL.
Yeah, and we're still waiting on Batonio. They're kind of messing around with the date for when he has to decide. So we should know. We probably should know before the draft, which I would think if we don't know, then I think that's kind of concerning on whether. But I think the Browns have a good plan. It's just not getting out to the public yet. But I like it. It's gonna help. And Mark, it's gonna be interesting. Now we go to how the first round does go. I still think O-line, if we still go to O-line, because now that's Georgia guy, that Freeling's coming up, as no one really talked about him, and now he's working his way up the draft boards at 6. I saw him, some mocks have us taking him in the 25th pick or 24th pick in our second first round pick, along with an O-line from Utah, which I would love. But it's going to be interesting, Mark, knowing that we're probably going to go OL heavy within the next month or so just to get that line before we go defensive backs and defensive players and wide receivers. So I won't be surprised if there's a lot of movement on the offensive line starting with what we just saw today.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think I want to take this as a writing on the wall type of a scenario on kind of where the front office is showing their flags on where they want to go with things. I do hope that they still go skill position at the top of the draft, especially with Carnell Tate being up there, Tyson being up there. Both of them tested relatively well in the limited testing that they did do the other day at the Combine. There's also linebacker prospects over there. I mean, obviously, you have Ohio State's aliens at linebacker that both tested literally two of the best linebacker tests ever in the history of the Combine. Which are options there as well, especially if Devin Bush doesn't end up coming back. So, I mean, that number 6 pick, there's a lot of options to go. I wouldn't mind being in a situation where either we take the guard who's supposed to be generational from Utah. He's supposed to be somebody that is absolutely insane and a can't miss O-lineman prospect, as well as, while I wouldn't mind trading that second round pick because it is so high, I wouldn't mind packaging 24 and 6 to move back up and either get a skill position or get somebody that you really see as like ultimate value, or getting potentially a veteran wide receiver somewhere because you know they're available. You know there's age, and this is just a name throwing out there. Obviously, it's already been kind of reported as the Browns being interested in. Um, but I mean, you have the Olaves, the Harrisons, the AJ Browns of the world that are available, and teams are saying and listening. Like, you're not out of the realm of being able to use one or both of those picks to get one of those guys, and not have to worry about that position as much anymore until later on in the draft, where um, you have other guys that are extreme depth pieces that have looked good in the combine that you still have pro days to look at. So it'll be very interesting. I do expect a lot of free agency to be O linemen and probably some D line pieces. I would assume, just based off of the trenches situation that we have here in Cleveland. But I think it's a good start and a good indicator on where our front office is looking and what they want to do here moving forward in the beginning of this free agency and retooling period of the NFL.
Yeah, and I think you still need to go offensive heavy with the OL. I know,
Especially not bringing anybody back, and everybody's left is either young, injured, or both.
right, and if you go defense like a Styles or an Avery, I think we gotta be careful with that. Not because they're bad or I don't want to. It's more you need to hit on the more positions that you need. Like now maybe. And look what happened. We found Carl Schlesinger. Look, he was a diamond in the rough the whole season. Look how well he played. So you could get those guys.
Rookie of the year, and he didn't even start at UCLA until I think year 3 or 4.
Yeah, so you could get there's depth at the defensive position. So I think you're okay if you don't touch them till the second, third, fourth round. So I think you need to go offensive heavy here, whether that's 2 offensive linemen, 1 offensive lineman, and a wide receiver. Because if you get hit on that, then you can start building around. Now, obviously, we're building around how our newly acquired pick, our newly acquired O lineman that we just got. So you're building around him. You're building around the talent that he brings. 9 years presence. So I would be against going defensive player unless they really think they can't pass him up. But I think you just don't even bother. Just wait because you can even get him a good guy, like I said, second or third round, and then you got a wide receiver. I think the wide receivers would be a little bit hard, even though there's a little bit more depth there. I still think it'd be a little hard to come by, especially when you got big bodies like a Mekhi Lemon from USC. You got
Who tested really well the other day.
Yeah, he tested really well. You got, Carnell Tate, he's more of the speed guy. Who he may be there, he may not be there. Depends on how they want to go, but they want speed. But then you got speed with Jerry Jeudy, so you kind of need the Browns do need like that bigger body to kind of what's the word? Can't not cancel out, but kind of go complement Jeudy. You got Jeudy with the ball with the speed. Now you're gonna need a big body you need an AJ Brown big body type too. That could contest balls and whoever's that throwing Sanders, Watson, whoever's going to be the quarterback. Yet again, we still don't know where the quarterback is. There's a lot of talk that recently at the Browns like Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson's being linked. I don't know. I don't know about that. We'll obviously get more into that as we get closer to the draft. But it's interesting. But as we said, we know where their heads at right now. They made a great trade, which. It's hard to do with AB now. AB always makes these great trades, and in the draft, he kind of drafts poorly. So maybe he's hitting so far up the draft last year. Maybe he'll hit so far. He's hitting so far at free agency, and there's gonna be a lot of rumors swirling between now and the draft. So it's gonna be very interesting to see, Mark. And you got to go back to okay. If you're AB, you cannot mess this up any more than you have. You had one good draft. If you have another bad draft or make a pick that probably is questionable and he doesn't pan out, luckily he panned out with Junkins and Schlesinger and a couple of other rookies. But if you don't this year, then your head might be on the chopping block, even though you just hired a brand new coach in his first year at the helm.
Yeah, I mean I agree, and at the end of the day, as of right now, AB does appear to be on somewhat of a heater as far as team building goes. He had a good draft last year, obviously. We'll see how they all do in their sophomore seasons. He's always been great at least making splash trades. Now, whether they work out or not is obviously not really up to him, but he does give the opportunity to create great trades, great wins off of those trades, et cetera, and keeps the Browns in the news as far as really going for winning. So, I mean, that's always kind of been his calling card. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what we look at here moving forward as the as the offseason starts to kind of come into fruition. But I agree, you can kind of see the sense of urgency in the front office more than anything, which we've already kind of spoke on repeatedly that we need to have here, especially coming into this season with this new regime and with AB being able to stay. So it's definitely a start in the right direction, and we'll see how they ride this momentum.
Yeah, it's gonna be big momentum as the pre-tampering period, which means for all your non-sports fans or football fans, pretty much means that next week, they can start talking. Now, obviously, they've started talking to agents at the combine, which we'll get into in a minute. But now it's legally you can talk to the players, you can talk to the agents, and try to make deals out so that they get signed once the New Year League starts next week. So a lot to be desired there, and we're gonna break it all down. And it's gonna be very exciting to see what teams do where. There's gonna be a lot of trade, and there's always those one or two unexpected trades that always go through, and we're like, holy crap! And there's a lot there's a lot going on here, and I think we're going to be in for a wild ride between now and the draft, and especially towards training camp. All right, so that's what's going on in the Browns world. Might as well stay on the topic while we're there. Let's talk about the combine, as the NFL scouting combine happened this past week or this past weekend. As there's a lot of storylines that come out of that. Fernando Mendoza did not throw because he's going to be throwing at Indiana's pro day in a couple of weeks before the draft, which he's mostly the number one overall pick, so really don't to the Raiders. So he really doesn't need to throw more than what he does. But Mark, I'll throw it to you. What a couple storylines that impressed you by watching the combine this past weekend?
Yeah, storylines are kind of. I'm gonna go kind of Homer, and then I'll go a bit just overall. Obviously, Ohio State Buckeyes as a whole tested really, really well. Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese pretty much locked themselves into the top five. Lorenzo Styles running, I think it was the second fastest 40-yard dash of any player at the combine this weekend. He probably moved his name up some boards as well. So that was pretty big for him. Carnell Tate ran a pretty slow 40, all things considered, compared to what he is. However, there is reports that GMs and executives had their own stopwatch tests, and it was faster than what the official time was. So we'll see if that gets corrected or if he runs during the pro day. But he had a good showing at the shuttle as well. But when you look at it, USC wide receivers looked really well, tested really well this weekend as well. Between Mekhi Lemon, he looked really good. I think they said he had the best receiver gauntlet pretty much ever in the history of the combine. It looked extremely smooth. And kind of to stick with Brown's mock drafts and things like that, a lot of people have us potentially looking at KC Concepcion from Mississippi State. He runs, I believe, either the fastest or the third fastest 40 of the entire combine. Looked good in the in the drills as well. So he kind of flies up boards. We'll see what kind of happens with him. And shout out to him and his media day. He didn't shy away from the media day, even with, I know he has that stuttering problem that he's come out and addressed. He sat up there and kind of ate it at media day. So shouts out to him. But also with that, there were just a lot of testing across the board. It looked like Drew Aller, coming off of that ankle surgery, actually threw the ball really, really well. It looked there's a bunch of clips out there, obviously, and video evidence out there that the receivers that he had with him really failed him and dropped a couple of balls. So whoever they happen to be, they probably lost some draft stock there. And we'll see if Aller throws at his pro day as well. But he probably gets his name back into the mix, into those top 3 or 4 rounds after kind of a up and down college career and some injury concerns. He still threw the ball very well. Obviously, it's on air, but he gets his name back into the mix. So a very, very interesting weekend. Arvell Reese also came out and said that he plays horrible in New York. So it seems like he's trying to get away from the Jets drafting him. We'll see if they really give a shit or not. But that was another big media day thing, is he has said that he obviously wants to play for the Browns if that opportunity presents itself, but that he plays horrible in New York, and it seems like he's trying to get away from the Jets at all costs.
Yeah, as I kind of saw that or read that, that's pretty much the same thing as Sanders not wanting to come to Baltimore. Like look at that full circle moment. Now you have the Baltimore Ravens former OC as the head coach, so it's kind of weird how things play out. But just I know you don't want to go to the Jets, and I know you don't want to, but what? How do you not know you're not gonna? How do you know you're gonna start like right away wherever else you go? Like,
Yeah.
and I get it. You have a preference, but at the same time, the teams are trying to win. The Jets are trying to win now. I don't know if they're gonna keep that coach around after next year. I don't see them making any, promise. The Giants are probably maybe at least one more year away, but they'll be back in the playoffs before we know it, unfortunately. But because
Yeah,
we like,
their young guys are amazing.
yeah, and with the new coach, there's no way they don't make the playoffs in at least year two. They'll be there in no time. So I think at some of these players, is what I get. Like just let whatever. Be grateful you're in this opportunity. There would be a lot of players that kill to be in the spot you're in. Now I get it, the team sucks, but maybe you're the difference. Maybe you're the difference to make the change to help that defense. Now it's reported the Jets are going to try to change your defense a little bit. As you saw, they made a trade last week with the Titans to get a better defensive tackle in Vaughn.
Yep.
So it's very interesting. And I just stop talking. Just I'm not saying this because it's an Ohio State guy, but I'm saying this just like I said this with Shador. Just keep your mouth shut. You probably should have went to Baltimore, but now, I mean, because you don't even know what this new coach is going to put. Now it looks like maybe the new Munkin will let him play. I don't know. It's just weird timing, but it's just weird when people talk and just run their mouths. Just stop talking. But there, a couple other things that work out. As Mark said, the OSU DBs put in that work. Styles, we know what a 43.5 vertical reach, best of off the ball linebackers. I thought that was pretty interesting the way they did.
Yeah, and the kid's 6'5".
Yeah. So that was interesting. That Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon, 40-yard
Yeah.
dash, best ever for a tight end, 4.39. And he's a big body too. He's going to play a prominent role wherever he goes in the first round.
Reminds me a lot of Kyle Pitts when
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts had his combine success.
Yeah, so that's going to be very interesting. Now, one thing that and also Vandy quarterback or tight end Eli Stowers broke a vertical jump record for tight ends, 45.5 inches. So there was a lot of records broke. Yeah, and I came and jumped. The only way I could jump was playing baseball, but so there was a lot of records broken. But there's one thing I saw that kind of a bust that Taylon Green, the Arkansas QB, he ran the fastest 40 of the quarterbacks, but he had some bit of throwing and accuracy problems, as that's what's probably going to cost him a little bit. Now, he's probably like a day 2 or 3 type of quarterback, probably 3. Maybe he goes unsigned. But that was very interesting to see, as he was. Now, a lot of people are talking about him playing maybe a wide receiver coming out and getting drafted in the league. We'll see how he wants to do, Mark. But
Kind of Anthony Richardson type of testing where he tested really well athletically as a quarterback, but when it comes to actual quarterbacking, same problems that Arkansas are happening now. Where, I mean, he's a freak athlete, but kind of nothing else. I mean, there's been a lot of quarterbacks recently, your Lamar Jacksons of the world, et cetera, where people are kind of just telling them, yo, you might want to think about a position change here. And he's I believe Taylon Green's a pretty big body as well, so you could
Yeah.
see him potentially at an outside receiver, or even like almost like a tight end, kind of like what Tim Tebow did way back in the day. But a lot of people were clamoring about him until he started throwing the ball.
yeah, and switching positions is not that easy. To you, Mark, I know you played the sport. You changed position a little bit. How hard is it to play one position? Because I know you're more like corner / wide receiver. How hard is it to go from wide receiver to corner, and just especially when you play like a Travis Hunter, you play both sides of the ball in high school, so it's trying to go back and forth and change positions, from one side to the other.
Yeah, I mean, well, and especially as a quarterback, or even like you had in Kyle. I know we talked about it right before we got on. You had a guy that actually did switch from quarterback to wide receiver and have a great day. In Michigan's Devin McCulley,
Yeah.
where granted he's had 3 years in college to kind of figure that out ever since he left Indiana from playing quarterback. But as a quarterback, it gets a little easier now. Obviously, when you have the freakish athleticism that some of these guys do have, it's as simple as, can you run the route or at least develop? Somebody's going to take a chance on you at some point in time. I do think your Lamar Jacksons of the world kind of save you from that, but at the same time, then you have guys like Justin Fields, who they suggested probably should do that, but he had a much better arm than a lot of these guys, and now he's not having the success he's had. So, I mean, it's kind of a catch-22. you probably see. I mean, I could see Taylor Green at some point in time. Obviously, you're the best athlete. You just want to get the ball in the hands of him when you test the way he tested athletically. I don't think it would be a huge deal. It kind of just depends on how much work he's willing to put into it and what
Yep.
type of project he's willing to be, because there might be, like, I mean, if you're drafted in the third round, but you're drafted as somebody that they're expecting to move positions or whatever, it's whether you want to get on the field or you're okay with being um, a fringe third stringer practice squad guy, or just always looking to get cut from the NFL, or if you're willing to put the time and the work in. I mean, he's got the athletic ability, so you obviously have that opportunity, and it's kind of just about whether you can put what you know behind you or in front of you. Like, as a quarterback, you got to know all the positions anyway, so you know what a receiver does, you know what a tight end does. It's about if you are willing to put in the work to get the remaining skills with it.
Yeah. Now there may be maybe he improves because there's pro days, and for the non-football fans, as we do try to break it down for you, or non-sports fans, the pro days are pretty much a glorified combine where they like the focus not is just about your school and your team, not about anybody else. So like the representatives can focus on you and whoever and you and whoever else is participating. Now sometimes you kind of split scouts because one team's doing it and the other team's doing it. So it's just pretty much, if you don't like Fernando Mendoza, he's throwing. What's the point of him throwing twice or doing when he could just do it once? Especially when he's the number one pick, he's going to do it in Indiana's pro days we mentioned. So, but I thought another thing thought was weird as listening throughout the weekend. Diego Pavia, the QB from Vanderbilt, is listening to Manziel. Diego, what the hell are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
What? Why are you listening to that guy? I mean, I know you look like him. I know your body structure's like him. I know you got that cockiness to you, but just I don't even know why this dude Manziel. I was, reading some of his quotes. He said Manziel's always checking in on him, always, being a friend and kind of helping him do that. But that's a wrong role model, dude. I don't know what the hell you're thinking doing that. What the hell is going through your mind? I that's one guy. I don't think he's gonna. I'm gonna be honest. I hate to say it with people, but I don't think he's gonna succeed. That's just me. I don't see him succeeding in the NFL. Mark, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know who. I mean, if you want to talk about undrafted, well, I don't think he'll go undrafted.
No,
Can
I
he?
don't think he'll
Yes.
go undrafted. Somebody's going to take a chance on him. I think it really depends on what kind of advice Manziel is willing to give him, based off of the fact that, I mean, Manziel did have a very similar um, run in college that Pavia did. Obviously, Pavia didn't win as early, but like as far as the stardom, the fame, et cetera,
Right.
Manziel can speak to that and how to deal with that. But I think Pavia has a bit more of a gritty kind of winner's mentality compared to what Manziel had. I mean, that'll obviously remain to be seen as we kind of move forward here. But I mean, it really depends on, again, I'm going to say there has been small quarterbacks that have succeeded. He didn't throw horrible at the combine. Now, granted, he didn't throw the best either. There were some missed throws, late throws, whatever. And his height is obviously going to hurt him. I mean, I think he tested at like 5'9" or something like that. That's extremely small. But I mean, I don't know that a team isn't going to take a chance on him. I don't know that it's going to be to the expectations to what he thinks. I think he's walking into this draft process thinking he has a right and every chance to start and change a program or a franchise, whatever, however you want to call it. Um, and I think his mindset's going to have to change. And I think when he finds out that he's not exactly a franchise guy, he's not a first or second round pick, he's more of a third round pick or so. How does that change his mindset when it comes to the NFL as a whole? Does he shut it down and does his ego leave, because that's probably his best attribute? He has such a big ego that he's not afraid to go out there and play ball. And that's what made him so great in college. And does that leave, and does he take a really big hit after he becomes a backup?
Want to hear some Cleveland Brown shit?
Let's hear it.
Diego Pavia.
I could see it. I could see it.
We're the Browns, and we do random ass shit.
I could see it. I mean, if it's one quarterback that I would even
I mean, I don't want him,
like
but I just
no.
our
I could see them doing that just based off the fact that it would be another splash thing where they stay in the media or they take a flyer or whatever. If I'm going to take a flyer on any quarterback, I would do it on Aller.
yeah,
Aller
yeah,
reminds me a lot of Josh Allen, and we already got burned once on that Josh Allen saga where the kid's got a pretty big arm. He's decently mobile. He's played in the cold. He's a hometown kid. It'd obviously be another great story. But if I'm going to take a flyer on any quarterback in this draft, it's probably Aller based off the fact that you can coach out some of the mistakes that he's made. And he
yeah.
also had a generationally bad big game coach as well that kind of put a bottle on him. He's pretty much the only guy I think I'm willing to take a flyer on. I don't even like Mendoza in this draft based off of the offense that he ran and the team that he was on, in which he had success. He wasn't a world beater at Cal. He had kind of a 1 year flash in the plan, and obviously he's going to get paid majorly because of that. Now, for his sake, I hope I eat my words, but I think there's one guy that I'll take a flyer on, and that's Aller based off of his physical attributes and probably where you can get him in the draft. But I could see the Browns doing something stupid like that and getting Pavia for some unbeknown reason to us.
I would, man. You know, we really haven't had, you know, a guy. I'm not saying like Aller's the end all be all. No, but if Aller could develop after his surgery, I mean, why not? Why not take a flyer on him? Why not just see what he's got? Because you know
Yep.
you're gonna have two different types of quarterbacks to look at. You got depends who they start, Watson or Sanders, who are both dual threat. Now you got a pocket presence in Aller too, so you got two
He can
things.
move when needed.
Yeah, so you got two things to work with here. I wonder if like they didn't say if he was going to Aller's going to throw his pro day yet, did he? I don't know if he's going to throw. I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm
sure.
not. I'm not sure. My assumption would be he's probably throwing at the pro day as well, especially depending on his ankle and what that looks like.
Right.
Because he probably needs to. If if it were my opinion or my guess, I would assume he's going to throw as much as possible to get people to not talk about the ankle injury because he probably won't be able to run the best 40 of all time, or even his best 40, which obviously, especially when it comes to a pro day, you're putting your best foot forward. So my assumption would be he's not going to run at the pro day. He'll say that he's just going to throw or whatever because his arm talent is his arm talent and it's his calling card. So my assumption would be he throws at the pro day again. Probably throws a couple of insane deep balls and whatever else, and that's going to be the talk of his pro day is his arm strength and his arm talent as opposed to his lack of physical ability, especially right now after injury. Would be my guess and probably what would be best for him. But then again, I'm not his agent and I'm not him, so I can't say for sure. But that would be my guess and my advice per se.
I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on him if he's still there. Now I wouldn't reach for him and go like second round.
No.
No, I mean maybe a team is going to reach for him and go second round. But if he's there in third, if he's there like a Sanders type, like last year, then yes, take a flyer because then you got four, wait, one, two, three quarterback. I don't think we have a third quarterback right now. Oh, we have Gabriel, but Gabriel, we could cut him, trade him to
Well, there's
Atlanta.
already reports he's heavily favored by the Falcons to get him in there somehow, some way.
Screw it, please, by all means, take him. We'll help pack his bags for all we care
Yeah,
and
no kidding.
get him out of here. So that's kind of the combine story. As now we look towards free agency, as we said, it starts next week, and the draft coming up in April. We'll have a lot to talk about with the draft. I'm sure leading up to it, especially we'll do a couple mock. I'm sure maybe we'll do some mock drafts, at least the top 10 to see, where we both disagree and agree on. So it'll be very interesting to see as we get started here with the NFL offseason. It's already March. Before you know it, we're going to be talking about training camp. So you
Yeah,
can't
no
wait.
kidding.
Wait for that. All right, before we get moving on here, as I want to give a big shout out to Cohen Stofan and the Cleveland Sharks who won the Cleveland Suburban Hockey League this past Saturday, won the 10U B1 division title, and they were regular season champs and are now postseason champs as they won by a score of 2-1, defeating Shaker Heights this past Saturday.
Hell yeah.
As you all know, a couple of good friends of ours, Aaron as his nephew, and I know Cohen's dad and mom, Brandon and Kat. They are just tremendous people, and I couldn't go to this week's game, but I watched the semifinals last week. I went, and it was just fun and exciting to watch him as he scored a goal last week. So that was awesome. As they won 6-0 last week, 2-1 this week, and I love watching Cohen. He's getting better and better each time I watch him play. So Cohen and the team, congratulations, my guy. I hope he celebrated well this weekend, and cannot wait to see that medal you guys got next time we convene and hang out. And all right, so congratulations to them. So we are continuing here. A couple more things to talk about before we get you on your way for today. Again, thank you for joining us here. If you made it this far, let's talk. We're gonna wrap up. Mark's been ready for this since it happened last Sunday. The Olympics, as the Olympics are finally in the books. As we were gonna get to Olympics last week, but we wanted to let the show be all about baseball. So this is our kind of a wrap up. As yes, if you all know by now, we'll start with the hockey. The women's and men's team both beat Canada 2-1 in overtime. Megan Keller, the game winner for the women's, as Hillary Knight scored to tie the game with 2 minutes left in the third period. And I didn't think we were going to win. I thought we were dead in the water with 2 minutes left, to be honest with you, for the woman. And then Cleveland Heights, we got to congratulate Cleveland Heights native Layla Edwards, who was, the first black woman to play on the United States United States World Team. So congratulations to them. And then the men beat Canada 2-1 as Jack Hughes scored the game winner. Both teams undefeated in the tournament. And Canada, we took your game. We took your game after dominating us all game, Mark. Canada is, I don't want to say this, Canada, it's our sport now. We're going to keep the Stanley Cup. We took your gold medals. You have none to show for it. That silver looks really good around y'all's neck, I'll say that.
Yeah, gold is our favorite color here in the United States, to say the least. We got chipped tooths that should never be replaced. I know it probably hurts like hell, Mr. Hughes, but please don't replace that tooth, at least until you're done playing hockey, because that mouthpiece right now is just the talk of the town.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, Canada was hyped up as this juggernaut for the entirety of the Olympics. The U.S. had trouble in their game prior and had to win in overtime. Everybody thought that there was no chance in hell. Then we come out, not only did Canada get their ass whooped on the ice, but they also got punched in the mouth by the Kachucks, which I loved to see. Fuck the Olympic little agreement. Let's throw some hands and then let's whoop some ass on the ice right after the fact. I loved it. I liked the fact that they came out and decided to show them that the United States meant business, and if that meant dropping some gloves, we dropped some gloves instantly. I couldn't say enough. The call, the shot for gold, it was amazing. It was amazing. We haven't won in 20 plus years. We came in
46 years we haven't won.
So, I mean, when you think about it, we didn't need a miracle this time. All we needed was a good old can of whoop ass. They got their fucking maple syrup all stuck in their gums. Fuck them. They can enjoy their cold weather for many more months, and I'm sure their little tears fucking froze on their face when they realized that they were a bunch of silver platter fucks. So they can enjoy all of that. They can enjoy their L while they watched us parade around the podium. And you know what? I'm gonna shout out everybody, because they all came back and they played in the NHL literally a week later. A lot of them were playing back-to-backs. Just a bunch of hockey lovers over in the U.S. And the future looks bright for U.S. hockey, both men's and women's, for the remaining time here.
Yeah, and this game, I don't know most of y'all watched it, but some of y'all
early game from the United States, by the way.
8 a.m. Yeah, it's the stupid rule with wherever the host country's at. It plays at 2 p.m. wherever, so that's the only thing that sucks about that. But it was a good way to have some breakfast and hockey, I'll tell you that. But let me just say this. Well, I don't want to start this. We'll start the men's, because the men's is obviously, the Canada dominated that whole game for literally about maybe
Pretty
I'd
much,
say
the whole middle period.
Yeah, I would say, let's see, 40 minutes out of the 20 or the 65 or what? No, out of the 80 that were played. I don't know. So count overtime and all that, but they dominate. Canada and the men dominated that game. Like there was like it looked like in Mark, when I say this, and some people that reference it, some people um, it looked like Ed's versus a Brooklyn type of game at
Yeah.
that like throughout the game. Like it just looked like it was or an Iggy, like it was just dominating from the point. It was dominating from where like the United States stood no chance, and luckily Connor Hallebuck literally stood on his head, faced like almost 40 shots and. The save, we can't post pictures because the Olympics are kind of sketchy about copyright, so we don't want to get flagged or taken down. So if you want to go look up the Connor Hellebuck save. It's the save that you're gonna want to frame it for generations to come as
Save heard around the world.
yes, as pretty much saved the game for the United States. So if you go search it up, Google it, you'll see what I'm talking about. So we can't
Let's
put
just
on.
say there's a reason Trump just gave him a honor for the United States. Let's just say
Yeah,
that.
they had a wild week there, but no, yeah. So we don't want to show off for copyright reasons, but it was a great save. It was heard around the world, and it was just an amazing game. As I thought we were dead. I thought we were dead to rights the way Canada was playing. And then he went to a 5-on-3 to that in the second period. That was like, well, there's no way they're not scoring, and he somehow did not score. So that's got to be. And this Connor McDavid, for all your hockey fans, Connor McDavid, he has not won a Stanley Cup. He's not won a gold medal. So Connor McDavid, you probably will not win anything in Canada. I'll tell you that right now, unless somehow the Oilers come along and surprise us all. You choked 2 straight times in the Stanley Cup to the Florida Panthers these past 2 years, so you ain't winning nothing, bub. You better come. You just might as well just come to America. Austin Matthews, was on Team USA. You just come to America as well because you all ain't win anything over in Canada. I'll tell you that right now. If I'm wrong, I'll eat my words, but you ain't winning nothing. So Canada and. Now they're going to say, oh, we didn't have Crosby, blah, blah, blah. Well, it didn't matter. You all played without Crosby. You almost lost to Finland in overtime. You had to go to overtime with Finland for all
This was
teams.
widely considered one of the best Canadian teams ever assembled, according to the Olympics this year. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you were best teams. You have Macklin Celebrini, who's only like 18 years old, who is going to be in the Olympics for years to come, probably for another next maybe 3 or 4 Olympic cycles, as they call Olympic cycles when we start talking about going with the Olympics. But yeah, so you guys dominated that whole game and could not win. And I'm sorry. And I want to say this. I want to give a shout out. I'll give a shout out to the Canada coach because I don't know if Mark, you didn't hear that. I don't know if you heard this, but I'll give a big shout out to him as his dad passed away while he was over there in Italy coaching.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we can make fun and have a heated rivalry with them, but thoughts and prayers as his dad, as that's just got to be hard. You're halfway around the world and you're coaching, and you can't get to your dad who
and coaching for your country at that.
Yeah, and pass away. So, but hats off to him. We cannot go without saying that. We didn't find out until after the games actually. Like nobody said anything till after, so that was kind of just crazy to think about.
An even bigger shout out to him than to, I mean, at the end of the day, we are all human beings. We all feel hurt and pain, especially with the loss of family and loved ones, no matter where they happen to be at. And for him to have to pretty much keep that to himself so this team doesn't get distraction and so the world doesn't give them excuses as to why they maybe faltered, failed, or why he didn't do a great job. Kudos to him for having not only the mental fortitude, but I hope he has somebody to, like, as a man to talk to about those things, and I hope he has his time to grieve the loss of that loved one because obviously we all know that's hard, and especially not being able to deal with those emotions so that he could coach and try to win for his country as a coach is something that obviously we cannot speak to because we have not been to the Olympics, but understanding what that must be like for him. Kudos to him, and I hope he has the help and the support system that he needs to get through such a trying time, especially after eventually losing in that game. I'm sure it hurt that much more that he lost his father and then couldn't bring home gold in his name.
Yeah, so thoughts and prayers to him is he coached for Tampa Bay Lightning. He did not coach a couple of weeks ago or for a couple games due to the passing and being with the family. So thoughts and prayers with them as they continue to kind of celebrate the life of his dad. But back to the game as the men's. Let's talk about the women for a minute. The women, it was a back and forth game. And Canada scored. Literally, they were dead. United States was dead to rights for literally like 58 minutes of that game, and they pulled the goalie with 2 minutes left. Hillary Knight, the captain, who could be her last Olympics, which it's sounding like, unless she has a change of heart. She scored off the assist from Cleveland Heights native Layla Edwards scored, and then the goal, the little dipsy do, how do you do goal for Megan Keller with the game winner in overtime. So for the hockey part of it, let's just say Canada's days are done. Hockey is America's sport now. So you could just keep chasing, and we'll just keep winning gold, and we'll keep winning cups around here. So we'll see how that goes. But congratulations to both teams. It was a very, very fun tournament. It sucks. Like, you have Olympic withdrawals, and you're like, well, now what do we watch? Now we're just waiting for hockey to come back. As the women's team is very young. They're very Canada was a little older team for the women. The United States women were younger, so I think that's going to help if they continue to stay younger. And then the United States they're still young for the men, so they're going to stay younger. They'll probably get a little older. But it's gonna be that's the most best rivalry in all of the you want to talk. This is like Michigan, as we said, Michigan Ohio State. This is the rivalry for Olympic competition and international competition. This is the Michigan Ohio State rivalry, folks. So if you love hockey, or it comes out every 4 years, we go and watch that. Hey, also curling. Congrats to mixed doubles curling. They finished silver, and they fell short
that was their first medal in curling ever, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for the mixed doubles, and then the women's team came up fourth. They lost to Switzerland Canada. They lost to Canada in the bronze medal game as Team Peterson, led by Tabitha Peterson, Tara Peterson, Taylor Anderson Hyde, and Corey Deasy, who is also on the mixed doubles team. So they came in fourth. That's tied for the best finish. The men's did absolutely shite, as they did not even make the medal round. So they didn't even come close to that, unfortunately. But we'll see if they could turn it around here in the next 4 years. And hey, Michaela Schifrin, the gold medal winner in the women's slalom, tied for the most medals by a woman. Julia Mancuso, who won a medal. So Michaela Schifrin's still doing her darn thing, as we all know what happened to Lindsey Vonn, who suffered.
What a warrior, though.
Yeah, she tore her ACL. I know we're kind of just repeating stories. We're kind of doing a wrap up here for the United States. She tore her ACL literally like a couple weeks before the Olympics. She went out there, did a couple runs, and then she pretty much just broke her leg. Pretty much, she almost had to have it amputated, which is how bad it was. But she's recovering. She has a long way to go. She's at home, thankfully. So she had like, maybe I would say over 5 surgeries just to repair all that stuff. So that's like, I just can't imagine. So thoughts and prayers to her. But congrats to Michaela Schifrin. And how about Elena Myers-Taylor, the first Olympic gold medalist for U.S. in monobob, pretty much bobsled, single bobsled, the oldest American to win an individual gold at the Winter Olympics. How about that? 42 years old. Her children are both deaf, and one has Down syndrome, unfortunately. So congratulations to her. All she's been through with her kids and all that, and I'm sure her kids were happy to come home and see her mom win some gold. So congratulations, and congratulations to all not even just the United States, but all the Olympic
competitors.
Competitors. Mark, and I'll ask you, what kind of, real quick before we move on, what kind of stood out during the Olympics for you?
I mean, I'll kind of say it as an overall thing. As far as like every time I think the Olympics comes around, it's not really talked about until the Olympics happens, right? It feels like, and especially just in the world that we live in with just the craziness that happens pretty much on a day-to-day basis at this point. Kyle, I kind of touched on it on this earlier when the Olympics kind of ended, but it really kind of gives you the opportunity to realize that sports is the great equalizer, just in the world as a whole, right? Especially when it comes to the Olympics, you get this opportunity to really feel even more a part of your country than what you do day in, day out. Obviously, there's people that love their country every single day. All of us love the United States, love being here, etc. But when it comes to just the world's problems, everything that's happening in the world, right? Sports and the Olympics, especially this past cycle, has allowed people of all countries, all nations, whatever, to really put all that stuff on the back burner and just have the opportunity to love their country and love kind of what's going on and forget about the world's problems and just cheer on those people that have put their entire life's work into representing the country, right? Like they're all people that were just like us at one point in time or another, walking the streets, going to the supermarket, practicing in the basement, practicing in the driveways, wherever. Obviously, they became what they became, but sports is the great equalizer and the great separator of really problems in the world compared to what what the world brings, what the world loves, what the world created sports for, and that's to be able to kind of put everything aside and really just root for the country, root for people that put their life's work into it, and allow those people that represent each and every one of their countries and have pride in their countries to kind of utilize their athleticism, utilize their God-given talents to represent a place that they love and a place that they cherish being from, right? Like all these people, United States, Canada, you talk about the people over in Europe, they all, no matter what their world problems are in those countries, they all love the fact that they're from their countries and they get to represent that every 4 years, whether it be the winter, the summer, etc. So that's really my big and only takeaway. Obviously, everybody wants to win as many gold medals as possible for their country. We all want to be able to say that we won the most gold medals, etc. But at the end of the day, each and every country gets represented by amazing, amazing people that have put their life's work, left their families for months and months and months at a time to go train, put their bodies through hell, put their mental health through hell, to get to that point and be able to hoist their own flag, whether they come in first or whether they come in last. It's an amazing, amazing feat, and shouts out to all the competitors and all the fans that get to kind of, again, put their problems aside, put their country's problems aside, and just be able to root and represent their country one way or the other.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better. And did you? I don't know, Mark. Maybe you did. I'm sure you did. Did you see what Tarico was saying at the end of the hockey game? Did you see the clips of that?
I saw some clips of it. I also seen he was pretty passionate to the point of tears. I don't think I've seen the full interview just because I was obviously hockey has dominated clips and social media, but I did hear that he had a pretty passionate speech at the end of that hockey interview or in the end of the hockey game, in which Mike Tirico is obviously a great American sports commentator. So I can only imagine what that full interview and full clip was about.
Yeah, so if you guys can, go look up Mike Tirico, and he just gives a very passionate speech about sports and being one of the greatest. As I know, sports is the greatest. It's a good, as Mark said, it's a good, healing. And we're not trying to get political by any means. So don't take this as they're being political. No, it's a good coming together. Like the Olympics good coming together. You don't we hate Canada for a sports reason, but for a people reason, I'm sure there's great people up there. We're not, we don't hate the people. We just hate
we all share the same world problems, world views. Like we all have poverty, we all have whatever, and it's just an ability to kind of put all that in the back burner and just understand what representing a great country and what being proud of your country really is.
Yeah, and just like, we talk about Michigan Ohio State. I hate Ohio State, but me and Mark, besides that week, we're good and we're all that. So it's just, we're not getting political. We don't want this now. This is probably our only time we'll get like that deep into it. But yeah, so anyways, Olympics are wrapped up. Another 4 years, but 2 years from now, LA for the Summer Olympics. We cannot wait. As basketball will come back, baseball, water polo, soccer, badminton, ping pong, all those sports. You can't underestimate the smaller sports. So we're very excited for. It's good, even though it seems like 4 years away. We still got two. It's good that it comes in 2 year intervals. So it's very good to excited for that. So that'll be all the Olympics we probably talk about till probably then, if we're still doing this by then. But we'll see. So here we go. We are excited because it is fight night this week, Saturday night. Where are we at? We are in Las Vegas, Nevada, UFC 326. Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira, number 2 for the BMF title. Mark, BMF stands for
Baddest Motherfucker.
Yes, as that title is going around, currently held by Max Holloway, as we have some interesting names on this card, Mark. Before we do some pick 'em, what fight are you looking forward to the most going for UFC 326.
So I'll kind of stay in the main card of things. There's two big fights that I'm actually looking at. The Rob Font versus Raul Rosas Jr. For those of you that follow UFC, kind of similar to the way me and Kyle do, Raul Rosas Jr. was the youngest ever signed UFC fighter on the roster to date. He hasn't fought in a while since his first ever loss. He kind of took some time away to not only heal himself, but just become a better fighter, become a more well-rounded fighter, and really understand what he is working with as far as UFC standards go. He gets an insane matchup here in Rob Font, who has always been towards the top of the division. He fights insane fights, and I think that'll be an interesting one. And then you got Kyle Bahayo versus Rainer de Ritter. Rainer de Ritter coming off of a loss. Kyle Bahayo surging up the board, trying to look for a title shot. I think if he wins this fight, or if RDR wins this fight, you're looking at a potential next title fight here at middleweight, or at least a contender with Sean Strickland, who won a couple weeks ago. So outside of the main event, those two fights are really what I'm looking at. Just kind of seeing in that middleweight fight who will have the opportunity probably to at least bid their name for a title shot. And then I want to see what the time away from Raul Rosas Jr. Looks like, and if he can truly surge up the rankings just that much more in that bantamweight division, which we know is extremely, extremely stacked with some of our favorite fighters at the top. It'll be interesting to see how his time away and how his youth has kind of relinquished itself, and maybe some maturity has set in, and see how he fights Rob Font, who is a dangerous, dangerous man.
Yeah, I'm looking at that fight too. I like Rosas. I'll be honest, when we pick him, I'm kind of liking Rosas. I think he's up and coming. He's a fast striker. He could switch. He could, ground and pound if he has to. And, he can knock you out. So he's got the ability to just, you don't know what he's going to do. His last two fights, he's won by decision. So, but he could also knock you out. So I think very interesting. Font's been kind of an up and up. He's been up and down. So that's interesting. And I'm looking at this main event. I love this main event. It's just a good storyline. Is this Oliveira's last chance to win a title? Because after that, remember, he got knocked out by Topuria in his last title fight. So let's be very interesting to see. As Max Holloway, he still got it. How does he respond? As he lost to Topuria too, but he beat Poirier. So this is an interesting type of fight, because you win this, you're probably moving up. You're moving up to get another a real title. I mean, I'm not saying the BMF title is not real, but you get a weight fight, title fight probably. So it's been very interesting in these strikes. Both are ortho. They both can ground and pound. They have that knockout ability too. So this is very, very interesting fight card, to say the least. I'm also looking at the prelims. This Cody Garbrandt versus Exxon Long. This would be an interesting fight too. I like Cody. I watched him fight his last fight.
Hometown guy from Ohio.
Yeah, and he lost, but he was in it to the end. He managed decision against Xiao Long, who's also kind of been up and down. So this is there's some good fights on this card, especially in the main event or the main card. So don't forget, it's on Paramount, W earlier start time. As me and Mark have always it's gonna be Saturdays. Be like, all right, so that's it. Like, I could go home now, Mark. Like, that's gonna be the. What do we do? Not being there till 1 or 2 a.m. anymore.
Yeah, 100%. And I think also when it comes to the Holloway Oliveira matchup, this is the notorious fight that sent Oliveira up to lightweight and made him the quote unquote quitter that everybody thought he was. He was the one that quit against Max Holloway and at the featherweight division fight at this point in time. Now, it's an interesting storyline because Oliveira, I do not believe, so they both fought Topuria recently, it appears.
Yeah.
Obviously, Oliveira beat Gamrot, which is a decent win there. Holloway lost to Topuria. However, I believe that was in a lighter weight class, if I'm not mistaken, because then that's when Topuria obviously moved up for the double champ status as well. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what things look like and what those storylines become of whoever wins. I think they have to win pretty significantly to get another shot at Topuria. at this point in time, especially with people like Gaethje fighting. They're probably going to have to go through Paddy Pimblett at some point in time, because you know the storyline behind Pimblett and Taporia as well.
Yep.
And you always have the opportunity for Islam to come back down. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with the winner of this fight and what this fight now looks like, being that Oliveira is a completely different fighter than what he was back then, but so is Max. Max is now a legend. He's one of the best fighters to ever live. Oliveira is, tattooed up Oliveira is arguably one of the also best fighters to ever live. So it'll be interesting to see what fight number 2 brings. And there's also an interesting fight. RoboCop is fighting again on this one. Gregory Rodriguez, who also has a opportunity and has a bid on the run that he's had to potentially be in a title eliminator here coming up. And 2 OGs, Drew Dober and Michael Johnson, fighting as well. They're towards the end of their career. They're very exciting fighters with a bunch of knockouts and some crazy, crazy wars. So it'll be interesting to see if 2 old heads in the sport, so to speak, will go at it one more time and give a war for the ages here on this card.
All right, let's pick them, as we always do. As our good friend, Scuba Steve, our good friend Steve Perrier, sent us his picks too. He's going to be on for the White House card edition, so we look forward to June when we do have him back on. So he's got our picks. I'll read them off the picks as we go. Let's do the RoboCop fight. Gregory Rodriguez versus Bruno Ferreira. It's both Brazilians in this fight, both looking to get back or both continue on track, as RoboCop is more of a TKO type of fighter, so he has that power to just put people to sleep. As Ferreira's kind of more submission / kind of, just win by unanimous decision. Mark, who do you got?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be taking RoboCop here. He's on an insane run as of late. He also has the ability to eat up damage as well. He pretty much went viral for that big slash in the middle of his forehead where he still kept going and ended up winning the fight. Where it looked like you could literally see his brains. I think he's too powerful. He's on a run and he understands what's in front of him as far as like title potential goes. I think he has one more shot in him given his age and everything like that. I'm going RoboCop, and I'm going RoboCop by knockout.
Yeah. Steve is taking Gregory Rodriguez over Bruno because of his power, as Mark mentioned. Both are hard-hitting middleweights, always trying to make a statement, so I think it'll be a good fight. I'll be taking a favorite Gregory Rodriguez, and I think I agree. First watching him, I thought, okay, he's old. Rodriguez, I'm like, okay, he has nothing left in the tank, and then I think whoever he was fighting, he knocked him out, and it was like, holy cow, like he still got it in him. So I like Gregory Rodriguez in that one. I just think I won't be surprised if it's a TKO at some point, especially with that right hook he's got that could just put somebody to sleep right away. So give me Rodriguez in that one. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to go to, as I'm reading off my phone, that's why I'm looking over. We're going to go, what's the next fight? Drew Dober
and Johnson, right?
Michael Johnson. I'm going to take both. Are they both? Yeah, they're both Americans. So I will going over this, trying to look at, as Dober won his last fight by TKO, as Michael Johnson has been on a streak. I think I'm going Johnson. I just think Dober's been too up and down for me. I think, they're both, this is kind of 2 straight fights where these are kind of older fighters. I think I like Johnson. I like Johnson in this one. I think they both could throw haymakers. Dober, yeah, I'm going Johnson. I don't trust Dober in this one. If I had to take it, I'm going Johnson.
Yeah, I've been kind of going back and forth since I heard about this fight. Dober has the ability to take a lot of damage. He's got a notorious iron chin. However, he has been, I think, recently knocked out. Michael Johnson has, again, been kind of surging and on a streak. I think I'm going to go Johnson as well. Dober doesn't do a whole lot of wrestling anymore these days.
Oh, hold on, Mark. Hold on. We got breaking news. We got breaking NFL news. We'll get back. The Lions are trading standout David Montgomery to the Texans, landing Houston a powerful running back. A fifth rounder goes back, so it might have been our fifth rounder we got to Detroit, as the backfield for the Lions are splitting up. So this is breaking news from Ian Rappaport here, right? So, Mark, instant reaction. What do you?
What?
So
So now the
good.
Texans, you're telling me, have a two-headed monster where they get David Montgomery and they still have Mixon, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, for right now, yeah.
And they got him for a fifth-round pick.
Yep, probably the Browns pick.
So they got David Montgomery for a bag of chips, and he's still got a whole lot left in the tank.
Yup.
What a trade by the Houston Texans. They
Then
granted they gave away their offensive lineman earlier today, but at the same time, now they turn around and they get another back to help out Stroud in that offense. The Texans are here to win. Their GM was on Pat McAfee saying they weren't gonna pull any punches with any of this, and he must not have been bluffing because he just went and got another gamer in David Montgomery.
yeah. So now you think you could I think it could potentially start because who knows what Mixon's going to bring. Mixon not pretty much not playing a year. At least Montgomery's been
Yeah.
playing. So I think he could start. We don't know. I think Nick Chubb, he's still there. I don't know. I forgot his contract situation. Uh, it's very interesting as this is just instant reaction as the
I'm in
that's a
shock.
good fit. But that's a good fit though. That is a good fit for the because he's starting there. He's potentially could start too. That I mean, that's the way he could look at, especially that's pretty much. I bet you that was the Browns pick. They wanted to use that extra pick, and the Lions said, you know what, screw it, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an interesting move.
But a friend of ours, Sean, who eventually will probably be on the show, also brings up the point that what do they do with Nick Chubb now? I believe is he a free agent or
I don't know. I'm gonna
is
look
he
that up
under
right now.
contract? Is a interesting question that we will have to address. But now it's either what do they do with Mixon and what do they do with Chubb? Obviously, David Montgomery is
Looks
a
like
very
looks like
consistent.
he's a free agent.
Okay, so they probably don't bring Chubb back, but now they have Mixon and they have Montgomery. Montgomery is a consistent, basically 1,000-yard rusher since he's been in the league. He was at the Bears, he was at the Lions, a great touchdown scorer as well. It'll be interesting to see. I would guarantee he probably starts. He is, I mean, he's very gritty. He does the dirty work, and he can also break some runs. Houston Texans, they gave up their tackle, but they just got a little bit better in that backfield. That's for sure.
Right. Yeah. And now you got to think do they bring back Chubb with I mean, they're going to need somebody because we don't know how efficient Judkins is going to be, especially to start the season. Now he's out of the walking boot. He should be ready for training camp, but it's going to probably take him a little bit. I'm just looking at some of the stuff here, but yeah. So this is a very interesting move. As do you bring back now the Browns? Do you bring back Judkins? Do you bring? Oh, you're gonna bring back Judkins. Do you bring back Chubb to go along with Judkins? They have the 1-2 monster in the backfield. That's just very, very interesting what the Texans just did there. But hey, that's a great offense. If Mixon can come back into form, now you got a good starter Montgomery. Now it'll be interesting with the Lions. We keep forgetting about the Lions because now they pretty much need another running back. Now, hey, good fantasy kids are gonna pretty much play every freaking snap unless they're. I'm sure the Lions are gonna sign somebody and grab probably somebody in the draft and all you would think. So we'll see. Maybe Jeremiah Love. Maybe you never know. Depending on could be.
He also
potential.
looked good at the combine, but what a very very interesting day for the Texans to say the least.
Right. We're just getting started. The month of March is
Yeah.
March is thrown in like a lion. Okay, so we will have probably more on that next week. That was just our instant reaction, but let's go back. I don't even know where we were at on the fights because of that breaking news.
We were just finishing up the Michael Johnson Drew Dober fight, which I think I'm going to take Michael Johnson on.
Michael Johnson. Let's see what Steve has. Steve, he's got Dober knocking out Michael Johnson in a chaotic brawl. Both are OGs that throw down every time, win or lose or draw. So he's taking Dober. So in that fight. All right. Let's go with the fight we've been kind of talking. Rob Font and Raw Ross's Jr. Mark. I think it's pretty set unless you have a change of heart between now and we really just kind of previewed it. I'm going Rosas Jr. I don't see Font staying in this. I think Rojas may knock him out, for being completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually going to take Rosas Jr. here as well. I think the time away to help his body mature and everything else is going to help him as Rob Font is kind of on the decline. I think he probably gets potentially a submission win here, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rob Font knocks him out. In the same time I'm saying this, I'm going to take Rosas here, but it's not a for sure thing.
Yeah, Steve, he likes Rojas, but he's agreeing with you, Mark. I'm going with Rob Font by decision. I don't know if Rosas is ready for the top 15 in his division yet. So that's very. I don't know. I kind of like Rojas. I still think he's. I think Font's been up and Font's been up and down. So give me Rosas in that one. All right, the co-main as we're rolling through this, Baralo versus De Ridder, as De Ridder's been on a roll since he's been in the UFC, as he was on the fight night, as he lost to Brandon Allen in his last fight, and that was a TKO literally at the end of the fourth round. How about that? That was nuts.
That was
Going up
nasty.
against let's see, as more trade news is coming in, as Lions get offensive lineman Juice Shrugs and 2 draft picks for the veteran running back. So that's very interesting.
So they replaced the lineman, got 2 draft picks, and sent away. I mean, obviously they have Gibbs there, so it does make a bit of sense.
Yeah. So be interesting to see. So Lions are Texans are getting rid of all their linemen, as they're getting pretty much 2 linemen that they just traded in the past 2 hours. So okay, Baralo and D Weather, as Baralo is coming off his loss to Amanov, but has been on a roll since then. Mark, this is a tough fight for me to pick in this co-main. Both, it could go either way. I don't know. This is tough. I think Baralo, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Kyle Braujo as well. I think that Fighting Nerds team just finds a way to win. They've been extremely prepared, and I haven't loved the way that De Ridder has fought a lot of these fights. He's mainly a jiu-jitsu guy, and I think Kyle Braujo's much more of a well-rounded fighter. I just think at this point in time, he understands that this could propel him over Strickland, who obviously Paramount doesn't love. Dana White and doesn't love his mouth either, and things of that nature. I think if Barajo wins, he probably gets a title shot here. He knows it, and I think he gets it done.
Yeah, Steve is taking Barajo in the co-main. Hard-hitting power. Seems like every time he fights, he gets better. So he's taking Barajo in this one. All right. We're sorry we're all over the place. We had that breaking news we wanted to get in as give our fresh thoughts before we get out of here. Luckily, it comes right after we get off the show. Now we're here, and now we got it on the show. It's very interesting. All right, the card settled around Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway for the BMF title. Mark, who will be the baddest MFer come Saturday night in Las Vegas?
This one is a very hard one for me to pick because traditionally I have obviously, and I think all of us, especially in our fight fan group, our friend group, so to speak, we've all loved both of these fighters for an extremely long time. Max Holloway just recently, right before that Taporia loss, obviously had one of the most insane, one of the most, like, I could sit there and probably watch it 10 or 15 times. Fights against Justin Gaethje where he knocks him out cold, points to the ground, etc. And obviously Oliveira had that title run and title reign where he was not only unstoppable, he was just knocking everybody out, submitting them, having crazy fights that ended in the first 2 rounds, and he would send us home early with the look of shock on our face. At this point, I'm going to go Max Holloway. I think I just love Max too much, and it's probably a fan pick more than it is a realized pick. I think this fight is going to be extremely, extremely close, extremely, extremely competitive, but also extremely wild. Oliveira is not, he's going to sit there and bang with them. He doesn't really give a shit. Max Holloway, we all know how Max fights. He's a fighter's fighter, and I'm going to take Max on this one.
Steve agrees with you. He's got Max beating Charles by KO, as we all love Charles in his fight.
He is a bit shinny. I will say that.
He hopes he gets 2 great fights by legends, so he thinks it'll be a knockout. This is tough. This is very, 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 very tough.
I do agree with Steve in the fact that I do think somebody goes out either TKO or KO for sure. I can't really tell which one it is.
I don't see Charles knocking Holloway out. I see Holloway knocking Charles out, so...
Holloway's got power. He's showed it a couple of different times, especially late in his career.
I don't know where I'm going. I don't. Oh, this is tough for me. I'm going to go...
Folks, we have a real-time reaction of Kyle waffling and waving on which of his favorite fighters he wants to pick.
Well, my favorite fighter is Popeton. Hopefully, we'll see him. The
Oh, he'll
Popeton.
be coming soon. We all know that.
White House probably. It's the way it sounds like right now, but hopefully, Dana, get the card done. Let's go. We're gonna need that announcement this week. But anyways, who do I want? I'm going. You know
It's
what?
a very tough decision.
It is. Give me Holloway. I don't. Holloway. I could see TKO, but I could see Oliveira submitting him. Or I see. This is tough.
And I don't think Holloway's ever been submitted. I could be wrong, but I don't think he's ever been submitted.
My luck, you know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna wake up Saturday morning and I'm gonna pick Oliveira. That's how it's gonna be when I put in the parlay. I'm gonna pick Oliveira in the freaking parlay. But wow, we have a lot. Give me Holloway. I don't like. Dude, this is a I don't like it fight, but I need Holloway for the end.
It's I don't like it from a picking betting perspective, but I love it from a fan perspective.
Yeah. So, well, we're gonna leave y'all on that. We appreciate you. I know we were going kind of all over the place. We had that breaking news that kind of came in as we were recording, so we'll probably maybe have a little more take on that next week when we kind of let the news settle, and we'll be all about that next week. But we thank you for joining us. Episode 31 is in the books. We are back next week for 32. And before you know it, we'll be back live with you Wednesday the 25th, 7 p.m. We'll remind you as we get closer still. But Mark,
Election Sunday, I believe, is this Sunday as well, correct?
the 15th.
So March Madness coming up as well. Get ready, get ready and lock in for that, boys and girls.
We will have that. We're going to dive into that probably starting next week. The next couple weeks, you'll get tired of us, but we'll figure it out with that. So, all right. As Ohio State got a big one over Purdue, they keep their tournament hopes alive a little bit. They probably got to do some more damage to get into the tournament.
We're on the bubble right now per ESPN.
Yeah, and congrats, Miami of Ohio still undefeated, a lower conference, good for them. We'll break it all down probably
in the coming weeks.
Yeah, we'll figure out how we want to break it down and all that. So, but all right, we're out of here. We got to get going. We love y'all. We'll see you next Wednesday for another edition of the Final Whistle. Goodbye.